agreed to participate in. We've got the nature park, we've got our walking paths, we've got ball fields. I mean, you name it, they've always been a good partner with us, and appreciate, your service and all that you do for our community.
Yeah, so likewise.
Awesome. Anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on. Don't have any council appointments. Well, I do have one, but I didn't submit the name yet, so we'll wait till the next council meeting. But just so you know, we do have somebody else interested in the Arts, Parks, and Rec Committee.
Sure.
So that'll come to the next council meeting. As far as action items, we'll start with K&K, an update with the dumpster week and the cleanup. Which kettle would like to take that on?
Which pot? So just kind of a quick synopsis of the week for the during the free cleanup week from Roosevelt City. There was just shy of 700 residents that came in during that week, which if you put the time to numbers, that's from Roosevelt, not the county, not Ballard, not anybody else, but from Roosevelt. That's basically a vehicle every 10 minutes and stuff. So it was a well
Advertised.
well advertised, and the people took advantage of it. It's kind of, and it's fine. It's not, there's nothing wrong with it. It's funny because we see a lot of the same people all week long during the free cleanup. We don't see them again until the next year, which is okay.
That's a lot of the reason why we do it.
For sure. But we just want to thank Roosevelt for participating in it, because we feel like, the numbers, we're just shy of 700. That's a lot of participation from the public and stuff, and so we appreciate your being willing to participate in it and allowing us to participate with you.
I like the 104 tons of garbage. That's a good number to get rid of. Obviously, there's more that work need to be done, but that's good.
It's a good start anyway.
Yeah. Well, we appreciate your, again, partnership on that. We know it's a busy weekend for y'all, and appreciate that service that you provide.
Any questions or concerns about it?
No, I thought it went pretty well. I went a couple times during the week and thought it worked just the way it should work.
There's two of your vehicles.
Yeah, but we see him during the year too.
Yeah. I did appreciate, I know you do it, but it's nice to see it broken, like they had the sheets out there for Ballard and Neil or other, so you could keep track of, who was coming and stuff.
That made it nice and stuff. We did notice that as the week went on and stuff, that it's kind of hard because people come in and the first thing you ask them is where they live. Well, I live in Roosevelt. Well, Roosevelt, so some people out in Hancock Cove was Roosevelt, and so we had to go back and correct some of them and stuff, and there might be one or two that we missed and that.
Right.
Hopefully that did help.
No, I think that was great.
And that, so.
Yeah,
Anything from us that you need?
Did we get anywhere on the? No, we're good.
Okay, sounds good.
Thank
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Appreciate it. And I did forget to mention, to state your name for the record. Did you get the names so far? Okay. You're well known, so it's not like
How many tons was that Councilman Busenbark? Did you contribute to that?
Not much, really. I have a small pickup, so.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, let's move on to the next item. All Abilities Playground Proposal and WCF. I don't see Kevin, but I do see some folks. Are you representing WCF tonight? All right. Who would like to? Kenzie, is that you or?
You want me to start?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was on the board, so.
Okay.
All right. Go Hancock, also chats now to WCF. And I think we have some other individuals that presentation than we do.
Awesome.
Kevin couldn't make it, and Kenzie does not like public speaking. So. and we try to
Gotta get used to that.
Yeah. So. But no, I'm here just representing on behalf of WCF. It's these All Abilities Park. I think the idea is that I believe that there's some land available next to Centennial Elementary. It's owned by Roosevelt City. WCF's proposal would that, if the city's on board with the project, that they would spearhead the fundraising component of that to install the equipment. I'm not sure if everybody's aware of what an all abilities park is. It'll make it accessible for kids and individuals that maybe in wheelchairs or have other disabilities of that nature. But it would be similar to what WCF did in the shooting range, raising funds for components of that. And we just asked that the city would actually just retain ownership of it. Obviously there's probably liabilities that are involved in that, but I'm sure your insurance that you currently have probably covers that under your Parks and Recs district.
Matter of fact, so the hospital donated the property north of them for our nature park. And they wanted to see an all abilities park there. But we told them, let's try to incorporate it with one of the other parks we have, but that's an obligation. It wasn't in contract, but it was a verbal obligation that we made to them. So this is kind of nice, this is coming forward, because that's something that we're already interested in doing. Something that will help us fulfill an obligation to the hospital, and then we have another partner in it. So would it have to be Centennial, or could it be another park? Is there an advantage to having it in that area? And if so, I mean...
Well, I won't speak for those that have been spearheading most of it. I think that if there's options available, we'd love to look at it. I think one of the key components would be the ability and space available for like a pavilion or bathroom facilities that can be utilized by the people that...
I like the idea of something down that way, just because we don't have anything in that regard on the south end of town, so.
And Centennial has had a focus on more, special ed, stuff like that too, so.
We do share that park with the school. There's some obligations that we have, and so we'd have to look at that to a degree. There's already a playground down there, but
There's other land around it too that might come into play too, but.
well, what I'm saying is the other land's already taken with soccer fields and football fields, but so we'd have to work with them to see, but we'll definitely find a spot, because it's something that we feel is important, and we already have an obligation to.
So I think WCF's commitment would be, to help spearhead that fundraising need for that type of facility. I would be remiss if I didn't turn time over to the other.
Please introduce yourself.
Please.
Yeah. Sorry, put you on the spot, but
You're just fine. I don't like public speaking either, but here I am. My name's Callie Adamson,
I'm Nate Adamson.
and I guess we're just here to propose this idea. Do you guys have like a clicker?
No,
Just tell them.
He'll tell him what to do, and he'll just get it through you.
and I'll.
and get it going
Okay,
for you.
so this is our family right here. Our oldest, Maddox, we'll call her one. He's 8 years old, and we found out that he had Duchenne muscular dystrophy when he was 4. And he's probably in a wheelchair about 80% of the time. And with our family, parks have been kind of hard just because the little one, he's a wild man. We call him Hurricane Hugs because he's crazy. And he likes doing all the park stuff. Well, my older one, he likes doing it too, but he doesn't have the ability to play on parks. He can't climb stairs, he can't climb up things. And so if he wants to play on a park here in town, we have to lift him. And so he's about half my size, I feel like. And so it's a little hard sometimes. And so we've been out to a few all abilities parks, and they're really awesome for these types of children. If you want to go to the next one, thanks. And so the vision is to create a safe, welcoming space for children of all abilities to play together. And the together part, that's like something a lot of people don't think about if you don't have a child with special needs. Because these kids, like my little boy's 8, and he likes to be included in things just like every other kid. Like he wants to be playing with other kids. And so the together thing's really something that is really important. The All Abilities Park is made for everybody. It's created for everyone to be able to play together. It doesn't matter how old you are, really. And then it's designed to support physical, sensory, and social development. And that is really for all kids. I mean, it's good for all kids. And then promotes inclusion, acceptance, and community connection. And that's something I never would have realized if I didn't become a special needs mom, is the inclusion. And it's not something that people try to do on purpose, it just naturally happens with kids with special needs. And if their children are around other kids with special needs, it becomes more natural for them.
Yeah. So why we think we need an all abilities park? Current parks aren't accessible, like we said, for all children, especially for Maddox. He can't climb, he can't keep up with the other kids. Families with special needs have a hard time taking their little ones to parks like that. Surfaces are hard, you know, the wood chips, the rubber stuff. It's hard for kids like Maddox to walk in. And we have an opportunity to lead with inclusive, I can't say that word, and compassion. And it encourages diverse friendships and strong family bonds. All kids, they love friends. Our little boy loves to play with his friends, but keeping up and being included sometimes is hard. So that's kind of one of the things that will help him, we feel, if,
And all other special.
and all other special needs kids.
Sorry, I do not plan this very well for someone else to be clicking.
And so some of the benefits is, like we've talked about, some of the ones that we've been to, they have like the special swings where you can roll on a wheelchair, you know, for those kids that can't get out of their wheelchair. They have ramps that can go to the top of these things that are wheelchair accessible. So it makes it fun. Kind of helps me and my back out. I don't have to carry them up a million flights of stairs, because if you guys have kids, they got a lot of energy. Whether their body is able or not, they want to go. So, and also like the sensory things. I like the idea of the nature park, because the nature park already offers a lot of that stuff, the walking, the sensory stuff, you know. So I think that'd be a really cool spot if it would work. The next one. We've already covered that.
Yeah, we kind of talked about the benefits for kids without special needs. Okay, so here's some of the ideas and like we've been to a few of these parks and we've seen some of the things that are pretty awesome. So the wheelchair ramps, you kind of already talked about that, but if you see in that first picture, you might not be able to see it very good because it's kind of small. But there's a ramp and it goes up to the second level of that playground equipment. And like kids that don't have special needs, they can still climb and do whatever they want right there. So the ramps, so you can get around in a wheelchair. And then wider slides to allow caregivers to help children down the slides. Adaptive swings and merry-go-rounds. And if you look at this middle picture, that's an adapted merry-go-round. If you notice, it's like flush with the ground. A wheelchair can roll right in, or like my son, he can also walk sometimes, so he can also walk right in there too without having any problems. And then swings and zip lines with a harness. Like our son, he can't do a swing. Like it's just not safe for him, or really zip line without assistance. So that would be really awesome. And then just different areas, so like quiet zones for kids that have like sensory problems, and like if you see here, there's like the little musical instruments that they can play around with if they're not wanting to do the playground equipment. And then inclusive climbing structures, like things that kids can climb on that are safe. You can go ahead. And then the smooth surface is really important. So if you see in this first picture, it's like a rubberized, I don't even know what it is. It's like made of rubber, so it's kind of like if they fall down on it, they're not going to get hurt really, unless I guess they could get like a rug burn, whatever. But it's padded, and so it's nice. And the wheelchairs or walkers can go on it easily. It's not going to cause any problems. And then this is like the wheelchair swing that he was talking about, that wheelchair users can roll up in there, and then they lock in there, and so it's safe for the user. And then a lot of the ones we've seen have also had the water play areas with the splash pads. So we can go to the next one. So that's basically all we had. We just inclusion, since we became special needs parents, we've really noticed, because it's something you don't notice if you don't if you don't see it, so. And so we're just really trying to help out here in our community, so. Does anyone have any questions for us?
Well, first of all, I think it's fantastic, to be honest with you. And there's another group in town, well, are you part of there's like a group of special needs children that get together and do different activities and things like that?
I think it's for the older kids though, for like the teenagers. Our son's not quite old enough yet.
Right, well, and I just wonder in that group, they're interested as well. So if we can bring everyone together, I think this is a project that's definitely, I think it's a great idea and something that's much needed in our community, so.
So that reminds me, so we go to the one in St. George all the time, and they actually employ special needs adults to run their front gate. They have a train. So that was like another idea, is some of these special need adults that are needing jobs, or, that's also something that can come into play for people like that.
Sure.
So,
Well, and I might have not mentioned that, but yeah, that would be great. But there's a lot of other families in our area that have special needs kids, and they have a group that group I think would be really good to plug into as well. The next thing I would say is, if you could come up with an idea of what you'd like to see, playground equipment and everything else, and how much property that would take up, and you can work with Aaron Brown and Dustin Glines on some of that and really get an idea going, a more solidified, I guess, idea of what you'd like to see as a group to bring in, and then we can start putting some cost to that, and then the size to that of how much room we would need, and then we can start looking at areas and saying, okay, we can facilitate this here, here, here. Maybe it works at Centennial, maybe it works somewhere else in the city, but I think it's something that we definitely would like to see. We've already got an obligation to do, and once we get to that point in the project, then we can really start to hone in on where to put it and the costs.
Yeah, if I could, Mayor, about 4 years ago, when we were working with the hospital on this, we actually met with some of the recreation and playground companies that install this. And we actually had 3 drawings drawn up, and it was the exact same equipment. So they're spot on with the equipment that's used. We met with families that had special needs and what they've seen. And we actually have renderings drawn up, and the price for some of them are $300,000 to $600,000, just to give you a ballpark. And it had all that playground, and it's correct, it's a pour-in-place surface, and so it's safe and it's easy, and you can actually do some fun things where the playground's ramped, so you can pull, or you can push wheelchairs up, and then you can go with a family and go down the slide. So there's a lot of options, and that's all in the state of Utah. We got 3 different companies around here that install and have a lot of ideas.
Awesome. When you did that rendering, was there a group included in that, or was it just the ones that?
Yes, and I was working with Jim Marshall on that, and we worked with a group that had special needs that they've attended, special places that they liked, and so that's where we got our ideas from.
And that's what I'm thinking, to plug you in with that group, WCF in with that as well, and really let's start moving the ball on it. So if you have the renderings, I think the next step would be to have that group meet. Is it Adams or Adamson?
Adamson.
The Adamsons meet along with that and make sure that everybody feels that that's a worthy project. Show it to WCF if they're going to start heading up with fundraising and things. And then in the meantime, we can look for a spot that we can propose to the council for approval. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
that's great, thank you.
Any questions on the council?
No,
I guess we would need a motion to go ahead and move forward with the planning stages and.
yeah, I would say definitely move forward. I know I'm supportive and would love to see this go forward, so and it sounds like we got some work done, so we just need to get it together and get numbers and figure out where to put it. But yeah, I would move that we go forward with this project.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed? Okay. Awesome. Well, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Yes,
It's definitely a worthy project. And we're excited for it. All right, Jeff, CIB application.
Your name's supposed to be on that, Kirby.
It just says Jeff Baker. It doesn't say anything else.
He knew you loved to speak.
I don't like speaking. I can't remember how long it's been, at least a month, if not 2, since we kind of brought this preliminarily to the council. So as a reminder, this would be In Roosevelt, you call it 8 South. If you're anywhere else, you call it 1000 South.
What do you mean anywhere else? There's only one other place.
Well, there's Duchesne County, and Gwinnett County, and Ballard. Or is it like,
Should we change are you saying we need to change our address?
I don't know. I don't even know why it is that way. It's just, gotta make sure everybody knows where we're at, in case you're the Kettles, they know where 1000 South is. So I think when we came before, it was just kind of provide a little information to the council. What we've been able to do is meet with some of the city staff along with Ballard staff and just look at total cost estimates for the project. I guess I didn't describe again, but just to be clear, this would be from 1500 east in Ballard to 500 east in Roosevelt across the gulch. Again, there's 3 portions. There's a small portion of Roosevelt City, a larger portion of Duchesne County, and then it crosses into the county line and into Ballard City. So this would, the anticipated kind of proposed project that we've all discussed so far is curb gutter sidewalk on both sides of the road and improving the road to 12-foot shoulders and 12-foot length, 4-foot shoulders. So Ballard is willing to move forward with the CIB application. I think when I came before, the special system grant, so 75% grant, and the rest would just be match, no loan. Doing that, you can kind of see in that first table, what we would ask from CIB is that they funded it at $3,264,000 grant, and then the $500,000 from Duchesne County Special Service District Number 2, and then $294,000 from each Roosevelt and Ballard cities. The other thing that the group of staff members talked about was kind of the worst case scenario that we all feel like would be possibly okay to accept from CIB is 1/3 match and 2/3 grant. So that's kind of the second table right there, which would essentially put each entity, the Special Service District Number 2, Roosevelt City and Ballard City, at $500,000 each contribution to it. So, what am I missing, Kirby? I think maybe just to reiterate too, this is a project that's on everybody's transportation master plan. The county as a whole kind of struggles, well, this whole area, I'm gonna throw in kind of this part of Gwinnett County too, but there's definitely a deficit in east to west travel in a lot of areas, and this is one of them. So essentially from Lagoon Street down to Whole Line Road, there's nothing across, and there's definitely in recent history been some emergency services that have needed to get across there. And then also the other thing is, it just seems since they built the new high school, and maybe it was the same way before, but kind of with Athenian and some of the others that are, there's the charter schools in Ballard, there seems to be a lot of traffic that's trying to go down Lagoon Street and Highway 40 in the mornings, and it gets quite congested. And so this would be a perfect route for others to access, just multiple, especially schools, but different parts of the communities. So it's definitely been in the planning stages, proposed project for a long time, and the feel from the group staff members and us is that now is a great time to jump on it. I just wanted to run that by city council and see what thoughts you have.
Any thoughts from city council?
The only question I had, I know you said it's on our master plan, was it in our CIB, like we had to submit like a 2-year, 5-year?
It wouldn't be on ours because it would be Ballard that would be submitting the application, so you just need to make sure it was on theirs.
We talked to Kevin Yak at UBAG about that, and Ballard does have it.
Okay, I just want to make, because I know they requested those, and that's kind of how they get decided. And I didn't think it was on our radar necessarily, but I do
Yeah, we
agree.
made sure it got on Ballard's for sure.
Okay.
And I know, just a question for me, and I don't wanna split hairs, but just making sure, I like the top proposal better because I feel like Duchesne County, has the lion's share of responsibility on that. So I do like proposal number one. Proposal number two is, we're picking up a little bit more than I think our, residents' obligation would be. But either way, it's a decent project, so I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard. I know we've talked before about how do you really nail down a cost per entity of what, like, if you were to build just your portion, right? And it's kind of hard to do that, but, you know, Roosevelt and Duchesne County share the box culvert and a bunch of fill, right? The city's portion is very small lengthwise compared to the other two.
Overall,
Yes,
though,
I think everybody's thought though is, yes, I mean, it's hard, obviously there's gotta be an agreement there, nobody wants to feel taken advantage of, and I don't think any of the other entities wanna take advantage of anybody either, but I think overall, is they think that, as we met with the staff from both cities, is even if it had to go to the second alternative, I think everybody felt comfortable in it, the project will have enough benefit on all communities that it would be worth that.
in $500,000, if we can actually get 66.7 or whatever it is percent grant, on the second one is still a phenomenal deal. I mean,
That's a
we're
great funding package.
yeah, and I think Ballard City does have the best opportunity to get that type of funding package with their,
Yeah.
what's that number? Their,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah, and there would obviously have to be agreements in place afterwards. This would just be approval that you're supporting the CIB application.
yeah,
Obviously, you know, we haven't even submitted the CIB. The plan would, I mean, it's a UBAG for review right now. The application is, it would be turned in June 1st, pending everybody okay with that.
is that an October funding
So
date
it'll
or
be an
was
October funding meeting. And so obviously we still have to come back and make sure, you know, if CIB did something different than what, we're gonna have to come back anyways before final approval goes, and then we have to be agreements between the entities, but.
I think if they'd accept the proposal, either one of the, I mean, we could agree on that tonight. If it's something that different, then absolutely has to come back, but we're.
Yeah.
What does the council feel?
I like the first option better too as well, but I do think having that road connect through there is gonna be beneficial.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we need to go with it, and obviously, if we get the first one, that'd be the ideal, obviously, but.
Yeah, and that's what the ask would be for, that's what the CIB application's been prepared on, is that. And then we've kind of just talked that second scenario is almost just as a preemptive.
It's still a good option, it's just not.
Yeah.
Right, it's not the
For the
idea.
first one,
Right.
right? And we think it's pretty justifiable, if, even with that ask, and I should have put that on here, but between all of the money that Roosevelt and Ballard have gotten between Joint Highway Committee and a few other things, and then the local match that's been put together between 1500 East and 800 South, even with this amount of grants, CIB would have only funded 40% of all of that in grant, which is still lower than, you know, if you went for the whole project, you'd anticipate 50-50 probably, so.
And you mentioned, Kirby, we have you thrown how much in our budget in anticipation?
And at this time, we budgeted 300,000,
300,000.
you know, anticipating we get
The
better
better.
deal.
How much, we've got money in our capital projects funds, so we can cover it, okay. So,
Zeke?
I was waiting for somebody to queue up a motion here.
Yeah, I'd go ahead and move to go with this, and I agree with the mayor. I think we approve if it's one of these two scenarios that I think we can get on board. Hopefully it's the first one, but if not, I would motion that we go forward with the application, and if we get first or second option, let's go ahead and approve that as well if we can. And that way, hopefully you don't have to come back. If they come with something different, then obviously you have to come back. If they give us more money, great. If they don't, which is always a possibility, then we'll have to rethink it. So that would be my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a second. Any further discussion? We did have a hand raised in the audience.
So,
I'm like 90-10 on this project, 90% in favor, 10% maybe not so much, okay? But I know that there is one landowner there. You are going to have a hard time selling. Brutal time selling this.
That's Jeff's job.
Yeah.
Like she may want the 4.5 million in order to make it happen.
If it's who I'm thinking, I'm good friends with her daughter and son-in-law, so maybe we can.
I don't think that matters.
Come on.
No offense. Like I said, I'm probably 90.
Challenge accepted.
I'm probably 90-10 on it. You don't know the work that's going on 1500 right now is an absolute disaster. It sucks. It's all the way around. I had to go to IFA this afternoon.
Are you talking the road and the sidewalks that they're putting down there? But I can tell you, it's looking awesome.
It will be wonderful when it's done, okay?
Yeah.
And I feel the same way about the bridge, quote unquote. We have years past, one time we had our combine parked in the field there. There's been an excessive amount of vandalism that has happened to our farm equipment and that kind of stuff. And maybe more traffic would decrease that. I don't know.
And that's what I've noticed, is the more eyes that are on the place, the less vandalism you have. The other point that you made that really resonated with me is that 1500 is under construction. It's a real pain. But if you had an outlet to get over to 5th East and up, you could bypass that fairly simply.
It would definitely, let's just say, I'm 90-10. Like, there's aspects of it. I don't want people driving through my hayfield, okay? There's gonna have to be some scenarios to go along with that. But I'm here to tell you, one of your landowners, I get in trouble for going 20 miles an hour in front of her house.
The speed limit's 35.
And the speed limit's 35. She lets me know.
Going on since high school?
Is that in Ballard or is that in Duchesne County?
County.
Shane
I'm
County.
guessing, yes, the Duchesne
Hey.
County.
The county commission meeting's coming up.
I'm just,
No, these are good points you're making, and I appreciate the info, because that does help us make good decisions, and so we appreciate that. So we do have a motion in a second. Any further discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion passes, that's unanimous. All right, 9D, we're gonna forego tonight. There's a meeting that Josh has with the superintendent, so we're gonna wait until they meet together to discuss that. City well update. Grant, you wanna, so we already talked about this. Grant's just gonna give us a really brief update on what's going on with the attorneys, but this is something that we've already agreed on the last meeting, so.
I've been in touch with Gail McCackney, who represents Cedarview a couple of times, as he represents them all the time. I've talked to him a couple of times since the last meeting. He is working on some things with easements, told me that he really doesn't have time to address the contract with me until next Monday. I'll have a draft over to him by Monday, and then he and I are planning to talk in the middle of next week. He thought realistically they're probably a month or so out, so there should be plenty of time to finalize that.
Thank you for that. And then the public hearing for the budget, we don't necessarily need a motion to set that. That's just something, unless somebody feels strongly to have a motion, but that'll most likely happen in the second week in June, or the second meeting in June.
I'm good with that. We'll have a chance to talk with Zeke next week or two, plus if we can maybe have some discussion at the first meeting in June, right?
it'll be the first reading.
First reading, okay. All right.
Okay. So we'll move on to
So June 17th.
I believe so.
Mayor, just, sorry, on 9E, there wasn't any changes or anything, right? That's the same, everything's the same, we're just trying to get the contracts and the wording
Nothing has changed.
Okay,
Just mostly an update for the council, let them know we're working on it, nothing's
and that's
changed,
fine.
just kind of giving a timeline, so.
I appreciate that, and I think it's better that we waited on that to get it right with the lawyers.
Yeah, and their legal counsel felt the same way, and I don't think Cedar View necessarily wants to rush it through either, so.
Okay.
Our final item for tonight, basically, and everybody, I'm glad you stayed, because this is the most exciting. The elected officials, staff, open duties and responsibilities training for Grant, so that's why he's up here, so we'll turn the time to him.
Okay, and I'll try to move through it quick. I was gonna start with ethics. Probably not telling you anything that you guys aren't already aware of. You are subject to the Municipal Officers and Employees Ethics Act. If you ever have specific questions on it, I'm happy to answer your questions on an individual basis, or if it's something you think needs to be addressed in the meeting, we can get into more detail if I don't cover whatever your questions are on. As you may or may not have known when you decide to run for office, winning the election subjected you to potential criminal liability that you weren't subject to before. But it's not hard to avoid. And the easiest way to get into trouble is if you're accepting bribes or any kind of money beyond the compensation that the city provides you with. And beyond some type of a court action though, there also is the court of public opinion that you guys are probably more sensitive to. And while I don't expect any of you to ever encounter a court action personally, I think that you all probably weekly, if not daily, are dealing with the court of public opinion. And so I want to touch on some of both and just offer my insight. With conflict of interest is one place that the public will scrutinize what you're doing, and it's possible that the courts would too. There's two ways to give disclosure, and they're required at different times. If you are receiving some type of a financial benefit, there should be a written disclosure filed with the mayor. I'm not aware of any for any of the current council members. An example of that one though would be like if one of the Kettles were on the city council and they have a contract with the city, so they're doing business with the city regularly. That's an example of something that should be filed in writing with the mayor. The more common one is just that you have some other type of personal interest, which is hard to define, but it's usually just something that you know when you feel it or when you encounter the situation. We see Don on a semi-regular basis pointing out that he has a conflict of interest. He feels because he's on the school board, is representing both parties, and oftentimes chooses to abstain. I'll get into that in a little bit more detail, what the requirements are in a minute. But in these type of situations, it's not something that has to be filed with the mayor in writing. The way to do that is the same as we see Don do from time to time, to just state in the meeting on the record before the item is discussed. And when you declare a conflict, the next question is, what are you supposed to do once you've declared it? And it's really up to you. In the state code, in the Officers and Employees Ethics Act, it doesn't say that you have to recuse yourselves. It just says that you have to state a conflict. So your options are to do an absolute recusal where you're not participating in the discussion or voting. You can also do a hybrid of that though. If you want to participate in the discussion but choose not to vote, that's okay and is an option to you. It's also an option for you to state the conflict and both participate in the discussion and vote. As long as you made a record of the potential conflict, you are okay to vote. It's up to you guys on an individual basis. Don often chooses not to. In the court of public opinion, I think that probably is best. It avoids even the appearance of impropriety, but it is 100% up to you guys. And if you want to talk any specific situation through in more depth, I'm happy to do that with you at any time. And that can be in private where I represent the council, all right? Is there any questions up to this point? Okay. The next thing that I wanted to touch on is gifts. When gifts are offered, it can create an uncomfortable situation for you guys, especially if you don't understand what the rules are. And as we already said, and it should be obvious, you can never accept bribes. I would never accept cash under any circumstances. Accepting somebody's gratitude is okay as long as it's of minimal value. And the minimal value language is coming from our ordinances, not from state code, but it's in line with state code. You can also accept promotional items. I would recommend you be a little bit careful on that because promotional items sometimes have high value. As a general rule, my recommendation to you is if you think something is worth $50 or less, you're probably okay to accept it. If it's worth more than that, I would be careful. Again, I'm happy to talk with you about specific cases. Also, accepting meals is okay.
Is that annually, $50 annually?
$50 per, yes. Yeah, so there's not really a running total, but you don't want to get into a situation where you're continually accepting $50 promotional
a day from a
gifts
single
from the same
donor.
person. But it's one of those things I think your gut will tell you if there's a problem. Okay, on the ethics, that's all I was planning to say, so if you have any questions about any of that, I'm happy to take them right now. Okay, seeing none, we'll move on quickly to responsibilities. Can you pull up our 20210, or either Ryan or Sierra? There's not a lot there that we need to look at. In fact, probably not. So while they're pulling it up, I'll just cover it, but if you still would pull it up, I'm gonna reference a few others. Our 20210 is the council responsibilities. It's a short provision within our ordinances. Just says that the council's responsibilities are to pass or adopt resolutions, ordinances, to appropriate funds, adopt the budget, mill levies or taxes, and review the city administration. And you are able to delegate that. And the mayor's responsibilities, there's a little bit more direction in our 20220. It states that the mayor is the chairman. He appoints with the advice and consent of council any of the appointed positions, which we'll talk about some of those in more depth in a minute. He's the chief ceremonial officer. He can declare emergencies by proclamation, which the city manager can also do. And he also may delegate his authority, which when you look at the mayor's powers and duties in state code and compare it to our ordinances, a lot of the authority of the mayor has been delegated. And one thing I should say about the ordinances, and this applies to all of them, not just the mayor's, but you guys are free to change those at any time. This is just a quick training and reminder on the current setup. For the city manager, it goes into a lot more depth. This is R204080. Yeah, right there. Okay, and you can see there's a lot of them here. I'm going to move through them quickly. He's called upon to enforce civil laws. This includes contracts which are specifically mentioned towards the bottom of the list. An example of this is with the contracts with the school, and we're following our ordinance exactly the way we're supposed to by setting it so that Josh is going to have a meeting with the school district and then come back to speak with you guys. He's to carry out policies and programs of the council, meet regularly with the mayor, inform the mayor of all executive level meetings, which there's a definition for executive level meetings within the ordinances. It's basically anytime there's meetings with department heads, it falls under that. The city manager is responsible for hiring and firing all department heads that are not subject to statutory appointment, and those are recorder, treasurer, chief of police, and attorney. Now, he's not responsible for hiring and firing, that's the council's job, but he is responsible for overseeing those departments and ensuring that they're properly ran. So all department heads, with the exception of attorney, who has to report directly to the council, all other department heads report to the city manager, and then the city manager reports to the council. It's part of his job is to do financial reports, enforce, we already talked about that one, attend council meetings, ensure that engineering services are provided, notify the mayor of emergencies, and as I said before, he can declare emergencies himself. There's no line drawn within the ordinances about the line between the mayor's ability to declare emergencies and the city manager's. But when you look closely at the two, it seems to be said between the lines that if the mayor is unavailable, then the manager is able to declare an emergency. And if either of them does that or exercises that power, it only stays in place until the next council meeting. Okay, and then there's a catch-all where he has any other duty prescribed by the mayor or the council. The only other thing that I really wanted to touch on with this, and it's not because we've seen problems with it, it's just as part of the training, wanted to point it out, and that's the relationship of the mayor and city council with staff, which is R204090. It's just the very next one, Ryan or Sierra. Yep, down one, right there. Okay, so the mayor and the council are expressly within the ordinances allowed to contact any member of the staff, so any employee of the city for informational purposes. But there should never be a directive given directly to an employee. That should always be directed back through Josh and then to the department head and whoever the employee's direct supervisor is. In requesting information, the wording that's used is you can make reasonable inquiries of any employee if the request that you're making for information interferes with their ability to perform their job or takes them away from the assignments of their supervisor, then it would be considered to be unreasonable. That doesn't mean you can't get that information. It just means that it would probably be best to direct it to the supervisor or just to Josh, telling him what you need, and then they would fit it into their schedule as they were able to do so. And then it probably goes without saying that the council's ability to hire and fire it does not extend to all employees with the city. It definitely does to the city manager and then those appointed positions that I specified. Okay, and then other than the open meetings training, which we're going to watch a video on, that's all I was planning to present on tonight. Do you have any questions with the second part of what I covered? Okay, then we do need to watch the video that the state puts out once a year. This will cover your yearly open meetings training.
So what is the Open and Public Meetings Act? It's the state law that ensures government actions and deliberations are openly conducted. Before we continue, keep in mind that this video is an overview and exceptions may exist based on your entity type. We focus on local government, not state requirements. When in doubt, read the law and consult with your legal counsel. So what's considered an open and public meeting? It's when a public body quorum, also known as a simple majority, meets to discuss or act upon government business. It includes the meetings sometimes referred to as workshops or executive sessions. Regular meetings, public hearings, electronic meetings, and emergency meetings are all open and public meetings. Open and public meetings don't include chance or social meetings. A public hearing is a type of open and public meeting where citizens have a reasonable opportunity to speak. Public hearings happen when a government adopts a budget, imposes or increases taxes or fees, or transfers money from an enterprise fund. These meetings have extra notice and posting requirements and won't be addressed in this video. An electronic meeting is a type of open and public meeting that's convened electronically, such as via phone or the internet. Remember, the governing body must adopt a resolution, rule, or ordinance allowing and governing electronic meetings. OPMA adds additional requirements too. An emergency meeting may be held to discuss an urgent matter due to unforeseen circumstances. In order to hold the meeting, the best notice that's feasible is provided of the time, location, and topics to be considered. An attempt is made to contact all governing body members, and the governing body majority approves the meeting. An open and public meeting may be closed to discuss any of the following: a person's character, competence, or health, collective bargaining, litigation, certain real property transactions, including any form of a water right or water shares, with specific restrictions, security personnel, devices, or systems deployment, investigations of criminal misconduct, and private or protected information for the Utah Procurement Code, including trade secrets. A closed meeting may be held only if a quorum is present and the meeting was properly noticed. 2/3 of the governing body present at the meeting need to vote yes to close a meeting. Quick math lesson. 2 divided by 3 equals 66.7%. Let's say your governing body has 5 members present at the meeting. If 3 out of 5 members vote yes, that equals 60%, which is not equal or greater than 66.7%, which means you're 1 member short and would need 4 out of 5 members to vote yes. During a closed meeting, a governing body can't interview someone applying to fill an elected position, discuss filling a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, discuss the character, competence, or health of a person whose name was submitted for consideration to fill a midterm vacancy or temporary absence, approve any ordinance, resolution, rule, regulation, contract, or appointment, or take a vote, unless it's a vote on a motion to end the closed portion of the meeting and return to an open meeting. When a governing body closes a meeting, the following must be publicly announced and entered into the minutes of the open meeting at which the closed meeting was approved. The reason or reasons for holding the closed meeting, the location where the closed meeting will be held, and the vote of each member of the governing body either for or against the motion to close the meeting. If a closed meeting is discussing a person's character, competence, or health, or security personnel, devices, or systems deployment, or several other exceptions, mostly related to state bodies or project entities, no recording or minutes are required. However, the presiding member needs to sign a sworn written statement stating such. If the closed meeting is held for any other reason, a recording must be made, which includes date, time, and place of the meeting, names of members present and absent, and names of all others, except where disclosure would infringe on the confidentiality necessary to fulfill the original purpose of closing the meeting. Regular open and public meetings require 24 hours notice. The public notice includes the meeting, agenda, date, time, and place. Public meeting agendas need to include reasonably specified topics to be considered, with each topic listed under a separate agenda item on the meeting agenda. The governing body may not consider a topic in an open meeting that wasn't on the agenda. If a new topic not on the agenda is raised by the public during an open meeting, the governing body may discuss the topic. However, final action may not be taken on the new topic during that meeting. Additionally, entities holding regular meetings scheduled in advance over the course of the year need to provide annual notice of the entire year's meeting schedule. The notice must include date, time, and place for each meeting.
Notice is posted on the public body's website in a public location such as the location where the meeting will be held, and on Utah's public notice website in accordance with Utah Code 63G-30-102.
Typically, posting on the public notice website is done by the records officer, recorder, or clerk. However, it's the governing body's responsibility to ensure notice is provided. State Archives has prepared a training manual and quick guide for owners and posters, as well as training videos that can be accessed at their website, archives.utah.gov. Written minutes and a recording are kept of all open meetings, with few exceptions. Written minutes include the date, time, and place of the meeting, the names of members present and absent, the substance of all matters, names of citizens providing comments, the substance of the comments provided, any information a body member requests be entered into the minutes or recording, and a record by individual member of each vote taken. A body with elected members must record each vote in list format by category for each action taken by a member, including yes votes, no votes, and absent members next to each member's name. A recording must be a complete and unedited record of all open portions of the meeting from beginning to end, and be labeled with the meeting date, time, and place. All or any part of an open meeting may be independently recorded by any person in attendance if the recording does not interfere with the conduct of the meeting. Pending minutes means written minutes of an open meeting in draft form subject to change before being approved by the public body that held the open meeting. Pending minutes must contain a clear indication, such as a draft or pending watermark, that the governing body hasn't yet approved the minutes, and that the minutes are subject to change until the public body approves them. Approved minutes means written minutes of an open meeting approved by the public body that held the open meeting. Entities must establish and implement procedures for the public body's approval of written minutes. Public meeting pending minutes, approved minutes, and recordings are public records under grant. Any individual who publicly presents information relating to an item on the public body's meeting agenda must provide a copy of the information for inclusion in the public record. Make pending minutes available to the public within 30 days. Within 3 business days after approving written minutes of an open meeting, make approved minutes and any public materials available at the Utah Public Notice website, the entity's primary office, and the entity's website. Within 3 business days after holding an open meeting, make an audio recording of the open meeting available to the public for listening.
You need to bring your ukulele next time. Any follow-up questions for Grant before we move on to the next?
No.
Okay, seeing none, do you have anything to report, Ryan?
Josh is on Zoom,
Okay,
so, but I had some after him, if that's all right.
okay, yeah, let's go ahead and return some time to Josh.
Can you hear me, Mayor?
Grant, thank you, by the way.
Yes, we can hear you.
I really don't have anything to report other than I do want to thank Strata and all the city employees that got together today for the service project. And if everybody has not seen the new silhouette of the soldier, please take a chance on Highway 40. It looks amazing. And we are working on a recognition for those wonderful people that volunteered their time and finances for that. So, are there any questions for me from council?
No, well, then I don't think it's a public, open completely to the public, maybe, but on Memorial Day, they're gonna have a service up there, Josh, at noon,
Oh, fantastic. I'll be back.
so plan on that.
Thank you, Mayor.
Anything from the council for Josh?
No?
Mr. Bake? All right.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Travel safe. Ryan, we'll turn some time to you.
Josh just went over what I was gonna do, so I
Okay.
just wanted to say thank you. My heart was full today. We did a ton of stuff, and Strata, seeing what they did, and the volunteers for the silhouette, it just all came together, and love this community, so.
It's awesome. Thank you. Are there any reports from the members of the council?
The Interfaith Council will begin their Sunday concert series. I'm trying to remember, June is the last Sunday in June, and they're gonna do a patriotic theme. They're still working on some groups. July, I'm not sure, and August was a multicultural. Do you have those dates, Councilwoman Goodrich?
Yeah, so the 29th of June, the 20th of July, and August 3rd.
Yes. And those are gonna be at the Old Mill Park. You start at 7 o'clock, and encourage people to come out and support it. It's usually a good concert, a good message. They thought right before the 4th of July to do the one kind of patriotic theme. They usually do a Back the Blue. I think they're going to try for July on Back the Blue. And then the August one, they were thinking of a multicultural theme. So that's kind of the thoughts. And Interfaith is doing a lot of great things. Dan, Karen, and Gary Rohr, of course, were spearheading the silhouette up at the flag, and they had a lot of help and a lot of donations. But and I think they're selling some signs to.
Yeah, we actually have one on the counter out there.
Yeah, I think they're trying to sell. They're doing that as a little fundraiser to help cover some of the costs for that silhouette. So if people are interested, I think that would be good for them.
And I think it would be important to mention, now that you brought it up, that the city paid that much for that silhouette. There were some ideas, and that's one thing that has been really awesome to see in our community is when we see these projects, is you needed this one that come forward tonight. We're happy to help facilitate those, but we've seen when we let people in and we just kind of help facilitate those things, that people will come and participate and do some amazing things in our community. So
it's a great community. So yeah, hats off to everybody and all the support and help. It's been awesome to see. So I also had a question. We talked last time about the piano for the library. That's not on the agenda?
I think we were going to try to take care of that. Who was spearheading that? Preston?
Preston.
With that one, I think.
Yeah.
Edwin, can I get with you after? Or
well, I know we had a few people that were willing to donate. I just don't know where we're at, but it wasn't on the agenda. We talked about maybe if there was any funds from council, some discretionary left over. I don't know that we have any. If there were some, that we could possibly throw that towards that as well, given that we're at the end of the fiscal year. If not, I'm okay with that. And like I said, I know Mayor, you said you donate. I said I would. Hal was gracious enough. I think Councilwoman Goodrich mentioned, and I've talked to Gary Rohr also mentioned he wants to be involved. So
nice. Let's get together afterwards and see where we're at with some of the pledges, we'll call them, for that. And then in the meantime, can we find out what's in the council discretionary fund, just in case that comes up, and then we can put it on the next meeting.
Okay, that's all I had. Thanks, Mayor.
I don't have anything.
Okay. I had something, but I lost my train of thought, so we'll go to Councilman Goodrich. Councilman Allen? I can't remember what it was. Probably wasn't important. Anything else?
We had expenditures. I just had a question on the expenditure. Zeke, there was just one on there, but it said something about it wasn't a change or the correct amount. Did we approve that last month?
Yeah, we approved it last month, or last meeting, but it was for a smaller amount, so the invoice came in higher. And so that's just the difference in the two. I'm not sure the reason for the change, but it's because.
And did we have that budgeted for that, or?
Yeah,
so,
yeah, the funds are there, we just needed that amount to get approved.
Okay, I would move we approve then the expenditure and financial review. Usually inside there's a document about it, and that wasn't there, and I was just trying to verify.
So we have a motion to approve the expenditures. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Councilman White. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? And I remembered what it was. It was the walking path, so I talked to Greg Harmston. So we'll be working on that. I'll be with him tomorrow. And there's one other, and Ryan with the credit union said that they're all on board, and I think you've already spoke with him, but they're excited to do something in addition to maybe a picnic table or something behind there is what he's mentioning. So for those of you that are here tonight, so the walking path and the nature park, we've got permission. You'll see work going on over to Clubhouse Drive, and then that path will go through Clubhouse Drive onto the walking path at Constitution. And then Strata also helped us with getting through that property from behind the hospital on over to the highway. And then we need to go from the highway to Lagoon Street. So that's the next section that we'll be working on. Once we get to that point, we'll almost have a loop. And so we just appreciate everybody's efforts on that as well. So.
Great project.
Yeah.
All right. If nothing else, no need for closed session. I would entertain a motion to
I
adjourn.
move we adjourn.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second by Councilman Goodrich. All in favor? Aye. Very good.